everybody. Let's make it happen. All right, let's get to, I guess, the biggest news of the day is the Amanda Knox case. Yesterday, the two judges and 6 jury members deliberated and decided that she was not guilty and overturned her conviction. So she is a free woman and expected to leave today. Which, after looking at everything, I mean, I agree with the ruling of overturning the conviction, but the one thing that's really interesting to me is that she's leaving today. Not that, I mean, I don't want to seem prejudiced here. I don't want to say that Italians are hostile people, but she was in a foreign country. She was there much longer than she had anticipated. She was in prison. This was just not a good trip for her, to put it lightly. But if I were her, I would have wanted to pack my things up and book the next flight out of there. I just I don't know. I mean, I guess she had a lot of overwhelming feelings and she wanted to get some rest before making the long trip. It's not a short trip. So, but yeah, but I don't know. I would have left very, very quickly. But yeah, I'm sure you've heard enough about that. So let's move on. Let's move on to another pretty big story, actually, and it's the protests going on in and around Wall Street. These young 20-something-year-old kids are really making a statement out there. Their numbers are growing and they're getting their message out there. They're speaking out against the rich stealing taxpayer-funded bailouts, but generally they're just angry with the state of America right now. And I'm glad that they're doing this. It sort of reminds me of all those documentaries and all the footage you see of protests that went on in the 60s and 70s. And I'm glad that people are starting to rise up a little, and try and make some change, because I think we've settled too much with what's been going on. We sort of dealt with it as the status quo, when it's unacceptable. The economy is tanking. Jobs are harder to come by. I mean, it's no wonder that the bulk of these protesters are young people in their 20s. I mean, that's my demographic. And I've had trouble looking for work as well. When I was a kid, not too little, but once I hit middle school, that was the whole idea. Go to school, go to college, so you can get a good job. And now it's that dream is sort of, it's become an even bigger dream. You would think it'd be more of a reality once you sort of go over that hill of college, but it's not anymore. And that's what these kids are frustrated about. And I'm with them fully. If I have to hear another rich person say something like, "Oh, we pay the same percentage, and I don't care, if we pay the same percentage and you make 50,000 a year, that means you probably put in 6 or 7 grand for taxes, while I made a few million and I put in 5 or 600,000 in taxes." Here's the deal. If it's true what these protesters are complaining about, I think it's no secret anymore that a lot of rich people, especially in the economic world, which is why these protests are centered around Wall Street, it's no secret anymore that a lot of these guys cheat their way to money. I mean, they get a taste of some good money and they want more. And instead of being patient and just making the money that they originally started making, which is a lot, I know guys who went right out of college making six-figure salaries with an economics degree. I mean, you're gonna make good money. Just relax. Work your way up, and then you can make more money. Stop trying to cut corners and steal and all this other crap. And if you get caught, own up to it. Stop denying it. It's ridiculous. You've already made your money. All right. You did something bad. You got to pay the consequences. More than half of these guys, if they get convicted of anything, they have so much money, they're just going to lawyer up, have multi-year long cases and end up walking away from it, either paying someone off or paying for such a good lawyer that they actually convince a judge and jury that they're innocent. So really, what are they losing in the long run? Fess up to it. Stop complaining about the middle class and lower class. And I hate to use this phrase because I think it sends the wrong message, but the truth is that, yeah, pay your fair share. I'm going back to the taxes thing, which is a little off topic of what the main protests are. But the truth is that higher tax brackets, people making more money, should pay a higher percentage. Of course, these people making more money contribute more to the overall tax revenue. But if you make more, you should contribute more. And I'm not saying this for, from here on out, forever. But while the country is falling apart, do your part. Do a little to help out. Set out a 4-year, 5-year, however many years it takes, where taxes are increased slightly for people who make more money, so that it helps us get a little bit out of the hole we're in. We're not asking for absolute raising of the taxes. We're not asking for sort of an incremental increase as the years move on. We just want bad practices to end, and we want to get out of this hole because the people that are getting hurt the most are the middle and lower classes. It's that simple. And okay, well, I don't want to get too much onto that side because I don't want to seem like I'm leaning towards one extreme, which leads me to my next story, my next article. And you might want to move to Washington State. Minimum wage is rising up to $9.04, along with 4 other states who are raising their minimum wages: Colorado, Montana, Ohio, and Oregon. Not exactly your centers of the city, sure there are big cities within each, Cleveland, Denver, okay. But these aren't the places that I would say need that the most. Your big cities. LA, New York, Miami, probably Houston. Bigger cities. Seattle, St. Louis, Detroit. These places need that sort of help more. But it is a good sign. It is a good indicator that while the cost of living is rising, so is the cost of wages. It's the other side of this coin. It's where I think America needs to balance itself. The poor need to stop draining the government. I've alluded to this in a previous show, but the poor drain the economy big time. I heard some numbers recently about how much each bracket is contributing to the overall tax revenue. And it turns out that the lower middle and lower classes are in the negative percentages, which means they're taking more than they're putting in. That's kind of ridiculous. it's just as bad as the rich guys on Wall Street stealing from taxpayers. They're two sides of the same really crappy coin. So I think the message I'm trying to get out here is, let's find some middle ground. Let's find a balance. I think that will be the key to helping us get out of this hole. Because giving too much breaks to either side, or taking away too much from either side, is not the right solution. It's not. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Just give you something to think about. Check these articles out. Keep up with the protests, because who knows, something big could happen. They could shut down Wall Street. I mean, it's a long shot, but it could happen. We could see some actual change. Who knows? You got to stay tuned. So let's move on to some psych news. A study out of the University of California, out of the University of Colorado Boulder, showed that exercise can protect the elderly from long-term memory loss, coming from or following infections, illnesses, or injuries. Yet another reason why exercise is important. At the end of my senior year in college, I witnessed a presentation where someone talked about the benefits of exercise regarding depression, and how exercise literally has been shown to have similar effects to drugs used to treat depression. It's amazing, the power of exercise. It's uplifting. It's not only beneficial for your physical health in terms of things like weight, blood pressure, things like that. It's all connected. It's all connected to your mood, your stress levels. It's so beneficial. And you don't have to go insane. I guess if you're on the extreme level, say like the contestants of The Biggest Loser show, okay, then you need Jillian Michaels to help you out. But the average, well, okay, I don't want to say the average American, because the average American is pretty overweight. But the average person just needs to work out 20 or 30 minutes 3 or 4 days a week. You don't have to lift 250 pounds. You don't have to run 50 miles. Just hit the treadmill for 10 minutes at a light jog. You know, get your cardio work in. Do some stretching, maybe some light lifting. And if you can afford it, get a trainer. Get someone to motivate you. And if that doesn't work, you can always use what I've used. And that's hardcore, intense music. It's so crazy the effect that certain songs can have on your adrenaline and the amount of energy you have. You know, I can throw on some 12 Stones, a really hard rock, somewhat metal, just crazy, loud, fast band. And that would get me through 3 or 4 sets. Much easier than if I was listening to something either softer or not listening to anything at all. So just some tips for you. Okay, another story from Purdue University says that ostracizing leaves deeper and longer lasting effects than people might realize. These negative effects go beyond just what you see from the person. You might see them somber or less confident, but these effects go much deeper than the surface, and they last well beyond said ostracizing event. The article talks about it threatening the fundamental human needs, such as belonging and self-esteem. Now, this is a tough one because there are different levels of ostracizing. I don't endorse any of them, but when it comes to very active ostracizing, when people are excluding those around them very actively, and I mean by literally saying things to them like, get out of here, we don't want you around us, you're not cool, we don't want to hang out with you, things like that, I would say are a lot worse than the subtle ways. And the only reason it appears that I'm defending the subtle ways is because the truth is that some of the experiences that I've gone through where it seems that I've ostracized someone else, it's not intentional. It's because of the vibes that the person is sort of giving off. It's not like the person comes in, to a group cheerfully and with positive energy, and usually what happens, or what has happened as far as my experiences, is that the person is, for lack of a better word, a downer. They don't they don't go along with the group. They don't mesh well. And I've never actively ostracized, but it's like, some friends and I might say, well, let's plan something and maybe not tell them, or I don't know, sort of subtle ways that say, okay, we don't want to hang out with this person, not because it makes us feel better to ostracize them, but because this person sort of ruins the good times. So if I have any advice, it's for both sides. For the people who actively ostracize, stop it. You're only trying to make yourself feel better. Find a better way. Hit the gym, like I said a few minutes ago. Hit the gym, get your grades up, I don't know, be more active at your workplace, get a boyfriend, a girlfriend, do something to get your confidence up, other than messing with other people. And for those that feel like victims when they're not being actively ostracized, why don't you just relax a little bit? Take it easy. Try and reflect on why you've been left out. And you don't have to change your being. You don't have to change your personality. But if you want to hang out with a certain group of people, you're going to have to do something to be worth hanging out with, if that makes any sense. I know that sounds harsh, but the truth is don't play the victim role when you're putting out vibes that are just reflected back at you. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're not confident and you think people don't like you, and you start sending out those signals, then people aren't going to like you. So go see a counselor or a therapist, work whatever issues you have out, and then get back out there. Alright, that's basically all I have to say on that. It's a touchy, sensitive subject because it has to be on a case-by-case situation. I've sort of generalized things into two categories, but you would have to look at things on a case-by-case basis and sort of handle it with care. Alright, on a lighter note, let's move on to sports. Not light for me, though, because yesterday the Yankees had a rough game. And I'm not sure they're going to bounce back. It was the matchup that everyone was waiting for. It was the matchup that got rained out in Game 1 of the American League Division Series. CC Sabathia against Justin Verlander. And let me tell you something, the home plate umpire really planted a bad seed in CC Sabathia, for lack of a better phrase. He made him uncomfortable. he wasn't calling. There were pitches that were that 99 out of 100 umpires would have called a strike. And I know this because I've watched a lot of baseball. 99 out of 100 would have called it a strike. He was the one that didn't. And I think it frustrated CC. He started getting a little more wild with his pitches, throwing out of the zone, walking a lot of batters. And it was hard to watch. And even though they got off to a great start, scoring 2 runs off Justin Verlander, the odds-on favorite to win the Cy Young this year, they scored 2 runs. Things were looking good. But the umpire really did some damage. And CC struggled, didn't get out of the 6th inning, handed the ball over to the bullpen, with the Tigers leading 4-2. Now the Yankees came back. Brett Gardner has been really clutch and tied the game with a huge double. But then Soriano came in and gave up another home run to Del Mignon. And the Tigers now have a 2-1 lead in the ALDS. And Yankee fans, you're going to have to cringe because A.J. Burnett is on the hill tonight. You might as well flip a coin on this game. Because he could pitch a game like he did in the last series against the Sox, where he went 7 2/3 shutout innings. Or he could be the Burnett that has the second worst ERA in the American League for a starter. He could be either one. And that's a scary, scary thought. If I were Girardi, I would throw out Phil Hughes. I would take my chances with him. Despite his injuries and despite his lack of playing time, I would put him out there before Burnett any day. And try and scrape up a win, go back home, and pitch Nova in the final game. It's that simple. They're going to have to win this game. But enough about them. Let's talk about the Rays and the Rangers. Yesterday, the Rangers scraped out a 4-3 win in Tampa. Now, I'm still sticking with my prediction that the Rays will win it in 5. But I didn't think that the Rangers would ever have a lead in the series of 2-0 or 2-1. And they have a 2-1 lead right now. Their offense and their pitching came through today. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what happens if Tampa takes Game 4. Because they're going to go back to Texas. Texas is going to have the home field advantage. But, Tampa, they're full of a bunch of scrappy, fighting baseball players. They fight for the win. They know how to scrape together a win. Whether it's stealing bases, using small ball like bunting, hit and run, sack flies. They know how to get it done. So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up. Now for the National League, the Cardinals came away with a win against the Phillies, and Cliff Lee was proven to be one of the most reliable postseason guys. In 2009, he was the reason why the Yankees didn't sweep the Phillies. He stopped them. He's been an ace ever since, I would say, 2007, just before he left the Indians. And the Cardinals, I would say they're just like the Rays. It'd be interesting to see a World Series matchup of the Cardinals and Rays. They're two scrappy teams with pockets of brilliance, but overall just average. They're scrappy guys. That's basically it. It'd be interesting to see those two teams. And of course, the Brewers have a 2-0 lead on the Diamondbacks. I think they're going to finish it out in Arizona. I really don't think I really don't think the Diamondbacks, they have a lot of talent, but I think the Brewers are just that much better. With the additions of Markham, I believe, and Zach Greinke, and guys in their lineup like Braun, Fielder, this Milwaukee team, and at home, 57 wins at home, and 2 now here in the playoffs. Even if the Diamondbacks somehow manage to pull off 2 games in Arizona, I don't think they're moving on. Milwaukee has a clear-cut home field advantage that seems unstoppable. So just stay tuned for the rest of the division series, because it's shaping up. It's shaping up to be really interesting. Will the Yankees come back, especially with A.J. Burnett on the mound? Will the Rays come back? Their Cinderella story coming back to overtake the Red Sox. Will their story continue? Will the Phillies fulfill everyone's predictions with that 3-man, ridiculously good starting rotation? Or will the Brewers, with the extremely serious home field advantage, stun the Phillies in the NLCS? You got to stay tuned for that. Alright, so this day in history, you children of the late 70s who were teens in the late 80s and early 90s are going to enjoy this. Beverly Hills 90210 debuted in 1990 on October 4th. That's a little, it's a pretty interesting show. I remember my sister was really into it, and I would sort of catch glimpses of it. I mean, I was just a kid. And, yeah, it's one of those 90s iconic shows. So just a little blast from the past for you. Let's move on to the song of the show. This one is a little more of a deep song. I would say pay attention to the lyrics. It's a pretty interesting song. So here it goes.
I hear a cry going out in the middle of the night, under the scatter of the stars, from a voice crack or fight, and as the tears strike cheeks from pain running south. The taste of salt hits the corner of her mouth, resting on tied tongues. With no breath left to speak, sick or throwing up. With no bread left to eat, tired and confused from disillusionment, sunny days turned to gray. And away he went, ripping the hooks out your heart from the promises of dark. The words found a mark as the sheets came apart. Every spoken word broken as he flipped you a token. Kiss on the cheek as his feet found the open door. What's in store for you? He didn't question, shook his burden to the floor to leave you guessing about the future and what it will unfold. But you're still standing there, rocking it so cold like. I hear the voice calling out from the bellies of the bubbles. Hold on for today, don't worry about tomorrow. The rains of today seem to fall with sorrow. Let me be who we see this life for tomorrow. I hear the voice calling out from the bellies of the bubbles. Hold on for today, don't worry about tomorrow. The rains of today seem to fall with sorrow. Let me be who we see this life for tomorrow. Holding on, these songs for I cannot sing without you. Holding on. You can't just point a finger and say it's alright. Make a trip downtown and put it out of sight. Cause two came together so strong one night. And two wrongs don't make one right. Giving the voice to the voiceless. Singers choiceless cause they're priceless. My princess, I feel the kicks and the turns. Give me a turn and a shot at this world to fight, to beat my plight and let my light light shine in this dark time. With all these ways of rhyme crime, and let this world drown in these ultrasounds. Hearing these heartbeats speak sweet, so profound. From beat down to higher ground, where hope abounds, with love that astounds. Lame as a rob, this ain't no miserable daughter calling you co-set, cause God'll be your father. I hear a voice crying out from the bellies of the mamas. Hold on for today, don't worry about tomorrow. The rains of today seem to fall in sorrow. Let me be who will see this life for tomorrow. I hear a voice crying out from the bellies of the mamas. Hold on for today, don't worry about tomorrow. The rains of today seem to fall in sorrow. Let me be who will see this life for tomorrow. Holding on, these songs for I cannot sing without you. Holding on, holding on.
All right, hope you enjoyed that one. That was Tomorrow by Matt Kearney. I think he's kind of underrated. And if you haven't heard of him, I would say check him out. He's got some pretty deep music, and he's actually got some good rhythm and melodies accompanying that music. And he's an artist I think that should be on everyone's playlist. And that's gonna wrap it up for today's show. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook at the Behind the Voice Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter at Behind the Voice 5, and subscribe to the YouTube channel at Behind the Voice 5 as well. That's where the show is right now. That's where it's happening. However, I'm going to remind everyone that the website is coming soon. I've been working on it, working on the design, working on what I want to include, mainly with you in mind, the viewers, the listeners, I should say. I've been trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to spread the word, tell everyone you know, tell friends, tell family. The show is, I feel like we're getting in a groove now. We're kicking it into high gears now. And I think we're going to big places. So stay tuned. And one last time, that'll wrap it up. So long.